Hello and welcome to Post to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. It's time for another series video for this 2017 playoffs, and we're going to talk about Ottawa and Boston. And this is going to be a very, very exciting series. Two really gritty teams here. So I'm just going to go through the stats very quickly. So for Ottawa, they've got 212 goals for. Boston has 234. Goals against, Ottawa has 214. Boston has 212. The differential for Ottawa is then -2, and the differential for Boston is +22. Ottawa's home record is 22-11-8. Boston's home record is 23-17-1. Ottawa's away record is 22-17-2. Boston's is 21-14-6. Ottawa's power play percentage is 17%, and Boston's is 21.27. And their penalty kill for Ottawa is 79.7, and Boston's is 85.7. So some pretty big differences there, and it all kind of leans in Boston's favor on almost every statistic. Ottawa's the only, the home record for Ottawa is the only one that they have that's better, based on their overtime points and stuff. So, this is gonna statistically it's a landslide, but overall I think it's pretty close. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think Ottawa may be the only team that made it into the playoffs with a goal differential in the negative.
Yeah.
I believe they are the only
That's
club.
shocking.
Yeah, it is shocking considering how far up the standings they really did finish.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how it really worked out that way. But, hey, it obviously worked because they're in the playoffs, right?
It sure did. It worked. And
So
we've created a ranking system. Well, Justin's kind of created the ranking system, and I've adopted it. So, Justin, I'm going to pass this over to you. Can you just explain the ranking system for our new viewers?
Yeah, of course. So I kind of asked myself, what are the 6 main categories you can really break down a team from top to bottom? And I felt that these 6 categories would really include everybody from the lineup. Depending on position, age, didn't matter. You would definitely fall into one of these categories. So their offense, defense, goaltending, grit, speed, and overall experience. And I felt that those 6 categories would really include everyone. And it would be the best way to really break down a team from top to bottom. So I'm going to start with the Boston Bruins, and I'm going to start with their offense. So Boston this year was 13th in win percentage in the NHL. So lucky 13 for the Boston Bruins. Now they had 4 guys with over 20 goals. They had 2 with over 30. So, they had guys that were really scoring. But for me, I found that they weren't getting the goal scoring from those guys, in the bottom pairings and down in the fourth lines and so on. They didn't really have that scoring depth, Marchand and Bergeron. I mean, these guys can't score them all, right? They need that secondary scoring in a big way. So for me, I gave them a 3 on 5.
I think that's a very good mark there. I gave them 3 out of 5 as well. I feel like, I don't think Boston's ever really been an offensive powerhouse team. They've been more of a defensive powerhouse team. That's how they won their Stanley Cup. Their defensive game was incredible. And so, I give them 3 out of 5 for offense.
Nice. Now for defense, Boston this year had the top penalty kill in the NHL. So to me, that is huge because I always found that power plays meant a lot more in the playoffs, because everybody had, the sticks a little tighter and keeping track of positioning a little better. So I always thought it meant a lot more. And going into the playoffs with the top penalty kill, to me, that really meant something.
That's huge.
Yeah. Now, also for defense, what hurt them, I find, Chara, he's not getting any younger, and the guy's still logging big time minutes, and he can be exposed at times because of it. So I gave them a 3 on 5.
I think that's good. I gave him a 3 on 5 as well, and I think I was considering 4, mainly for Torrey Krug. He's had an absolutely incredible season. Yeah. What a career year he's had, and but I felt like you said, Chara's getting a little older, and they're not really as defensively responsible as they were a couple years ago. So for that reason, 3 out of 5 for me.
So for goaltending, I gave them a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Now, Tuukka Rask, his goals against average was a .223 this year. It's not so shabby, is it? However, he did play 65 games this year. So, Tuukka Rask is the go-to guy for the Boston Bruins. And I mean, hey, who else are they going to go to, right? I mean, this guy is the guy that has led the Boston Bruins to the playoffs since he's basically been a part of the organization, right? So Tuukka Rask is the big factor. Now, Khudobin as well didn't have that bad of stats. Save percentage of .904. Rask was .915. So overall, 3.5 on 5. I still don't feel that Rask is the same as the Tuukka Rask that ultimately won them the cup in 2011. I mean, it was quite a few years ago, but Tuukka Rask can still get it done.
Wasn't that Tim Thomas?
Oh, yeah, geez. Excuse me. But yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, the Cinderella run of Tim Thomas.
Yeah, that's okay.
The chicken guy. Yes. Wow. Yeah, that's bad.
No, overall, well said, though. I agree with pretty much everything you said. Tuukka Rask has not looked as good this year as he has in the past couple. And, you know, in the beginning of the year, Khudobin had a really, really, really hard time winning games. I think they were 1-9-1 with their backup goalie there for the first half of the season, and it was not promising. But in the last half, I think Boston had one of the best backup records in the league. Khudobin played absolutely stellar in the last couple of games. And for that reason, along with, Tuukka Rask can still bring it, and he's still an amazing goalie, I gave him 4 out of 5 stars.
Nice. So grit, I gave them a 4 out of 5. Now, this is a category that I felt that the Boston Bruins really excel at. I mean, for years, they've always been a very gritty club. They got guys that can really bring it. They do have a guy like Marchand. He can be a real gritty guy, but at times he can go over the line. Yeah. And I mean, currently, he just had a 2-game suspension. The slew footing and other antics. This stuff has to stop if Boston's going to be taken seriously and do something in the playoffs. He has to be reeled in, and he has to really be kept, on a short leash, I guess would be a good way to put it, because he can be really effective. If he does do his regular antics without going over the line, he can be very effective, and he could probably have Ottawa take some unnecessary retaliation penalties, and it can work in their favor. So overall grit, 4 and 5 for me.
Yeah, I like everything you said there. I gave them a 4 out of 5 as well. Without question, I think one of the grittiest teams in the league, and they get a lot of things they get done is due to sheer determination.
Yep, no, that's good. So speed, I gave them a 3 on 5. Now, to me, Boston is not one of the fastest clubs in the NHL. I mean, they do have some key guys that can really bring it, but overall, 3 on 5.
Yeah, I gave them a 3 out of 5 as well, actually. Boston's never really been a fast team, although they are getting faster. Yeah. But the game's changing, and everyone's kind of looking for speed now. The big tough game isn't really working anymore. We can see that in Los Angeles. So 3 out of 5 for me.
Overall experience, I gave them a 4 and 5. They have guys on that team from 2011, not Tim Thomas, that have won the Stanley Cup. There's still guys that are part of the club, and they can really bring that mindset to the younger guys and say, hey, this is what we really need to do in order to get deep into the playoffs. It's gut check time. So they have some of those guys, as well as guys that have won amazing things internationally. So 4 and 5.
Yeah, like I said this before, we don't agree on everything, but it's looking like for Boston, we pretty much agree on every stat here.
Yeah.
I gave them 4 out of 5, so we are really, really close. They've played a lot of playoff hockey themselves. Yep. Unfortunately, not in the last 2 years. Sorry, Boston fans. But I think their overall experience is one of their most important factors on their team. So 4 out of 5 for me.
Nice. No, they are a very experienced club, that's for sure. So in total, I had 20.5 out of 30 for the Boston Bruins.
And I had 21 out of 30, so really, really close there.
Yeah, very close. Surprising.
Yeah, so let's move on to the Ottawa Senators next.
Nice. So Ottawa, now, for offense, I gave them a 2.5 out of 5. This is one of my lowest ratings. Now, Ottawa this year was 12th in win percentage. They were 23rd on the power play this year. Kind of like Montreal at times, Ottawa has been very plagued for scoring goals. And I think it's really hurt them going into the postseason. And with Boston being as experienced as they are, and with, Tuukka Rask, and I think they're going to run into, some goal-scoring droughts in this series.
Yeah, I agree. I gave them 3 out of 5 stars. I think their depth scoring is pretty good, but they don't really have major superstars that can really put the puck in the net other than Carlson. But I feel like they still have potential there, so I gave them a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, and Bobby Ryan, to me, that hasn't really worked out.
Yeah, he's looked amazing at times, but
yeah, consistency. I don't think Ottawa really got what they thought they were with Bobby Ryan. Unfortunately, if he steps up, though, hey, that ranking would change for me.
Yeah.
So defense for Ottawa, I gave them a 3 on 5. Now, what's interesting here is Carlson, the defenseman, the captain. He's the guy that led the team in scoring this year with 71 points. Now, that really says something, for your offense and defense when your defenseman is leading your team in scoring. So defense, I gave a 3 on 5. Carlson, to me, it's kind of offense first with this guy. And at times I almost look at him as a little bit of a defensive liability. He can turn the puck over quite frequently if he's under pressure. And to me, it hurt them.
I gave them a 3.5 as well, kind of for the same reason. And more so in the past, I would say 20 games. Carlson, one of the most gifted offensive defensemen in the league, if not the most gifted. But in the last 20 games, he's had so many turnovers that have led to goals against. And I mean, he hasn't always been that defensive, powerhouse, but recently he's looked really, really soft defensively, and it's led to some timely goals against. So for that reason, I was thinking about giving him a 4, but I dropped it down to a 3.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. So grit. Now, Ottawa this year, they had 8 guys. Oh, goaltending. Excuse me. I'm skipping one. Goaltending. Anderson. Anderson has been, not that bad this year. His goals against average, 228. Save percentage of 926. Now, Condon, he was goals against average, 250. Save percentage of 914. And, I mean, both guys really did take in a lot of games for the Ottawa Senators this year. They really kind of split the duties quite a bit here. And I think it's played in their favor because now coming into the playoffs, to me, they're going to have 2 guys that are capable of being in net, as well as 2 guys that are, fairly rested. They didn't play 60 or 70 games or anything of that magnitude. However, their experience level is nowhere near Tuukka Rask, in my opinion. So it hurt them a bit for me. So 3 on 5.
Yeah, I'm okay with what you said there. Although I will speak a little bit on Anderson. Everyone knows the struggles that he went through this year. He's kind of the feel-good story of this season. He's come back and he's played amazing.
Yep.
And he as of late, he's played really, really well. And I feel like Anderson's the type of guy, when he gets hot, it's an amazing thing to watch. He's such a strong goalie. And for that reason, I gave him a 4 to 5 stars. I think Anderson's really going to show up in this series and make it tough for Boston. So 4 to 5 for me.
Nice. So for grit, they had 8 guys with over 100 hits. And to me, this team can match Boston in overall grit. But at the end of the day, I think they have guys that are going to outdo Boston in the grit department, because I think Ottawa knows that they might not be able to light the lamp as much as they'd like to in this series. So I think they're going to play into the grit side of things in order to try to gain an advantage here. So I gave them a 4 and 5.
I gave them 3 out of 5, and I was thinking about a 4, like you gave them a 4. But I gave them a 3. I feel like some other guys are a little soft, and it kind of brought down their overall score for me. So 3 out of 5.
Nice. So speed. Now, here's an interesting stat. They had 6 guys on the team with over 30 takeaways this year. I thought that was rather interesting. And, I really like Stone, Carlson. I mean, they can fly with the best of them. They really can. So overall speed, I did 3 on 5.
Yeah, I gave them 4 to 5. I think they're one of the fastest teams in the league, fastest teams in the East for sure. 4 to 5 for me.
Nice. So overall experience for them, I gave, let me flip my notes here, a 2.5 on 5 stars. They have a lot of guys with not a lot of playoff experience. I mean, there's no other way to really put it. So 2 out of 5. I can't really say much more.
Yeah, I don't think Ottawa's gotten past the second round in the last 10 or so years, maybe a little bit more than 10 or so years. But I gave them 2 out of 5 for the same reason you said. I just don't think they have enough experience to really get this done. So, 2 out of 5.
So in total for Ottawa, I have 18.5 out of 30.
And in total for Ottawa, for me, I have 19 out of 30. So again, we're pretty close.
Yeah, very close. So I am choosing Boston to win this series in 6 games. And I believe the overall experience of the whole team, as well as in net, is what's going to be the big factors here. And I think Boston's going to win this series 6 games.
I, as well, chose Boston in 6. Boston in 7. Boston will win the series in 7 is my prediction. I feel like Ottawa is a little too inconsistent to really get this done. They're going to put up a good fight, but I really do think that Boston's going to win this series in 7. So that kind of wraps up our predictions, but it doesn't mean we're done. I have a special guest, I guess I'll call him my dad. He's sent us in a video prediction of this series as well, so check it out.
When the Boston Bruins were watching the Toronto game on Sunday night, they were hoping and praying that Toronto would lose that game so Boston would not have to face the Washington Capitals. Toronto ended up tanking and losing that game, and sure enough, Boston is now going to face the Ottawa Senators in the first round of the 2017 playoffs. Boston is probably rubbing its hands together and licking its chops because they're going to get to feast on an Ottawa team that is beset by injuries. We've got, I don't think Carlson is 100%. Even if he does play, I think there will be problems there. Ottawa's lost Ceci. They've lost Mathot. They're sketchy in goal. And Ottawa is just not a team that impresses me, that has a whole lot of gas in that tank. Boston, on the other hand, is doing well. I think they're 6-3-1 in their last 10 games. Marchand will be back from his crazy suspension. Not crazy that they suspended him, but crazy what he did to get suspended. And they've got Bergeron, a great face-off guy, Tuukka Rask in net, and they've got some other assets as well. Boston's really done well since the coaching change. I thought after they get rid of Claude Julien that they would do quite poorly even under any old coach, but they've done well. And they deserve, I think, to go a little farther in the playoffs than I would have given them credit for even as recently as a month ago. I think Ottawa did beat Boston, obviously, all 4 games that the two teams met this season. Boston didn't win any against Ottawa. However, I think times are different now. I think Boston will eventually take this series, but it'll be a hard go. I'm going to call this the Bruins in 7.
Well, there you have it. You have all our predictions, my dad, myself, and Justin here. And that wraps up this video. Any closing statements for this series?
Yeah, I honestly think this series will probably be the most physical series in the East. I really believe that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And, I don't really watch a whole lot of Boston. I do, of course, when they play Montreal, but I find some of their games are a bit hard to find on TV. But I'm really, really looking forward to watching Boston and Ottawa here. I think it's going to be one of the most exciting series in the playoffs and definitely in the East. So really looking forward to it. So that wraps up our video on Ottawa and Boston. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And if you like the video, hit that like button. And we'll see you in the next video. Adios.